Does anybody remember this?
I would give myself an A+. Nobody has done what I've been able to do.
Well, a lot of people have given me an A. Somebody gave me an A+. In terms of achievement, I think I'd give myself an A. Look, I hate to do it, but I will do it. I would give myself an A+. Is that enough?
Yes, he hates to do it. Listen, Donald has never got an A+ in anything in his life, except on those occasions when my Aunt Marianne did his homework for him. And then, Donald probably took the test with the A+ that my Aunt Marianne earned for him and put it on the refrigerator with a magnet or something. So if somebody has done something for the American people that's good, Donald will try to undo it. Why? Because he didn't get credit for it. So welcome to another phase of Donald starting to take credit for things he did not do. Let's start with insulin pricing. Donald said repeatedly that it was him and not Joe Biden who secured low insulin pricing. Although it is true that Donald initiated a $35 insulin cap for some seniors through a voluntary program, it was President Biden who expanded this to a mandatory cap for all Medicare users, covering over 3.4 million senior citizens and all insulin products. Thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, instead of paying $400 a month for insulin, seniors on Medicare will only pay $35 a month, President Biden wrote in a tweet. And then we get to infrastructure credit because we're only at the beginning of Donald taking credit for things he did not do. Biden aides privately told the AP that they expect Donald to continue the planned projects covered under the Infrastructure Act and take credit for Biden's accomplishments, just like the Republicans in Congress who celebrated plant openings in their states and infrastructure developments in their districts, but voted against the infrastructure bill. Here's just a small list of those GOP representatives, one that we had to speed up in the interest of time. Donald even took credit for vaccines. He didn't invent or develop the COVID-19 vaccines, but claimed he was the one who should receive the credit. And remember, this is the guy who told people to take ivermectin, who told people to take hydroxychloroquine, whatever that word is, who told people to inject bleach and use ultraviolet rays. And yet he wanted to receive credit for developing a vaccine, which he then told people not to take. Ironically, immigrants played a crucial role in developing the COVID-19 vaccine, a group Donald not just often, but always vilifies. Again, like the insulin cap, he takes total credit, exaggerating or making up out of whole cloth his role. Then, of course, we have international issues, starting with the Hezbollah and Lebanon ceasefire. On Tuesday of this week, Donald's team attempted to claim credit for the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire deal brokered after many, many months by the Biden administration. Florida Congressman Mike Waltz tweeted the following: "Everyone is coming to the table because of Donald. His resounding victory sent a clear message to the rest of the world that chaos won't be tolerated. I'm glad to see concrete steps toward de-escalation in the Middle East." This is obviously written by somebody who knows he's lying or does not understand at all how international diplomacy works. Let's go back a little bit and talk about the Afghanistan withdrawal. While he was still in office, Donald laid the groundwork for the Afghanistan withdrawal, but Biden ultimately had to pay the price for Donald's very, very bad deal making. Here's John Kirby back in 2020 trying to explain what happened.
You got to look at when he came into office, what he was walking into. He didn't negotiate with the Taliban. He didn't invite the Taliban to Camp David. He didn't release 5,000 prisoners. He didn't reduce force levels in Afghanistan to 2,500. And he didn't have an arrangement with the Taliban that they won't attack our troops. He came in with a certain set of circumstances. He had no ability to change. He had to deal with it based on what he inherited. The President's transition team asked to see plans for that removal. They asked to see plans for a security transition to the Afghan government. And they asked to see plans to increase the processing of special immigrant visas. None were forthcoming. Transitions matter. That's the first lesson learned here.
Okay, just to underscore that last part, transitions matter. We're now dealing with a situation 4 years later in which, once again, Donald Trump is refusing to participate in a smooth transition from one government to the next. So 4 years ago, in the midst of COVID and economic despair, it was even more crucial that we have a smooth transition. But because he's a sore loser, he refused. So just to sum this up, Donald negotiated a weak deal with the Taliban. He prioritized a Russia exit over stability. He emboldened the Taliban and sidelined the Afghani government, with which we had been working closely for years. He even invited the Taliban to Camp David near the September 11th anniversary. His deal, not Biden's, released 5,000 Taliban prisoners, required no ceasefire, and lacked enforcement, setting the stage for Afghanistan's collapse. Yet, after creating these conditions, Donald then used the chaotic withdrawal to criticize President Biden while refusing to take responsibility for the disastrous deal he made that led to the disastrous withdrawal. So for those of you who are still willing to criticize President Biden and think that we should still be in Afghanistan, my question to you would be, why? What would that accomplish? So how are progressives going to deal with Donald's second administration? If you remember, during his first one, Democrats took the position of the opposition party by challenging Donald as much as possible. That may be changing, especially since, once again, Democrats are in the minority in both the House and the Senate. So progressive Democrats such as Senator Elizabeth Warren, Representative Pramila Jayapal, and Senator Bernie Sanders, issues such as capping credit card interest rates, addressing corporate consolidation, and tackling policies that benefit the working class are all things progressives can push. This is a pragmatic shift. This represents a new strategy for advancing progressive policies, moving beyond the resistance model used during Donald's previous term. Much like Biden, progressives are choosing to focus on supporting any policies that supports the real vision of helping the American people, helping the American worker, and again, advancing progressive and some populist policies. I have mixed feelings about this, but I am very curious to see Democrats do whatever they can do to make things better for the American people. So unfortunately, Donald doesn't actually care about this forward looking vision, and he doesn't really care about helping the American people except the richest among us, no matter how much he pretends to, and sadly, no matter how much people seem to believe that he's telling the truth about wanting those things. He has every intention of rolling back student loan forgiveness. And another question for all of you, how is that a good thing for anybody? Donald's transition advisors and outside allies have been discussing ways to unwind various Biden-era initiatives that offered newer, easier paths to loan forgiveness for borrowers. And Donald could reinstate the student debts that Biden forgave. I'm wondering how all this is sounding to those Gen Z among us. This is serious. First of all, it's very damaging and could be catastrophic for people who have received student debt forgiveness. But it also just highlights the immense hypocrisy of the GOP. Loan forgiveness to them, to Republicans, is not acceptable for millions of Americans pursuing higher education in advancing their education and their position to succeed in the world, which would be better for all of us, honestly. But PPP loan forgiveness, remember, during COVID, is okay for people like Congresswoman Marjorie Greene, who had $183,504 loan forgiven. And trust me, she's not the only Republican in Congress who had lots of money, sometimes in excess of $1 million, forgiven. Donald will always give himself an A+ for things others do, as long as they're seen as successful and popular. But when something bad happens, he denies he had anything to do with it. Remember, during COVID, he literally said, "I take no responsibility," or "I had nothing to do with it." his cronies always back him up by claiming he was misrepresented or taken out of context, or he didn't mean what he said, or he never said what he said. There's never any accountability. So yeah, I'll give him an A+ for never being held accountable. But in terms of doing anything to help the American people, that would be an F fucking minus to you, Donald. Put that on your refrigerator. Hey, everybody. In case you weren't aware, I am spectacularly bad at self-promotion. So here goes. Please subscribe to our channel and like and share our videos. Your support means so much to all of us. Thank you.